Hello everybody, I've got a yellow light up here, I've got a white light down here, let's see what happens. It is 10 to 6, I've just gotten back from the theatre. Tells you how far in advance these are filmed. I've just done my last shift on Oliver. It was an emotional one. Whew. And because they've been just pairing, because there's 3 Olivers, 3 Dodgers, so yesterday they did, 2 of them had the last performance. Today's matinee was the different 2, and then tonight is the final 2. So yeah, that is just all 3 of the last shows have been last shows for people. So yeah, going away from Oliver though, I just finished Stephen King's Needful Things. I actually finished this a few days ago, but have not had the chance to film this video. So I thought I'd do it now. I wish it was dead outside because the lighting is usually slightly better. There we go. It's a very blank. I've got the dust jacket up there. Hang on. Dust jacket with a very big portrait of Stephen King on the back. Let's get the blurb in, shall we? It's just on the little inside flap. Castle Rock, Maine, where Polly Chalmers runs You So-and-So, and Sheriff Alan Panghorn is in charge of keeping the peace. Leyland Gaunt is a stranger, and he calls his shop Needful Things. 11-year-old Brian Rusk is his first customer, and Brian finds just what he wants most in all the world, a 1956 Sandy Koufax baseball card. By the end of the week, Mr. Gaunt's business is fairly booming. At Needful Things, there's something for everyone. And of course, for everyone, there is a price. For Leyland Gaunt, the pleasure of doing business lies chiefly in seeing how much people will pay for their most secret dreams and desires. And at Needful Things, the prices are high indeed. For Alan and Polly, this autumn week will be an awful test. A test of will, desire, and pain. Above all, it will be a test of their ability to grasp the true nature of their enemy. They may have a chance, but maybe not, because as Mr. Gaunt knows, almost everything is for sale. Love, hope, and even the human soul. Dum dum dum. It took me a while to read this. This has been my theatre book, so it has taken me about 2.5 months, I think, to read this book, because I've only been reading this at the theatre. But admittedly, when I realised I had less than 100 pages to go, I just laid in my bed reading it before I went to sleep. So this one is, how many pages? How many pages? 698 pages. And for some bizarre reason, it seems that one of me or my sister scribbled in the beginning of this book. Knowing me, it was probably me. It looks like there was an attempt at like noughts and crosses or something. I don't know. Where to start with this book? I haven't read much Stephen King. So, yeah. I've read Misery, and I have read From a Buick 8. Is that it? I think that's the only other Stephen King books that I have read. So when the blurb mentioned that other people will know this, I think he does have a habit of setting things in Maine though. I do have The Stand, the complete and uncut edition, on the shelf. On Debbie's bookshelf. On the bookshelf there is the uncut version of The Stand, which is like 1,000,000 pages long. I will read that at some point. It's basically the premise of this book. Leyland Gaunt opened this new shop called Needful Things, and whenever anybody goes in interested in something, he will show them their darkest deep desires, and then the way they pay is through pranks. It's the word that Leyland Gaunt uses. Is it Leland? Is it Leyland? I'm not completely sure. As I said, I did not know anything going into this book. Generally, I do try to avoid blurbs before I read them because I feel like sometimes blurbs can spoil things. I like to go in a bit blind, to be honest. And it just basically the idea that Leyland Gaunt, Leland, I still don't know. I haven't decided whether I want to call him Leland or Leyland. Gaunt has basically decided that he wants this town to self-implode. He's encouraging other people to do bad things to each other. So he keeps his hands clean while everybody else does the dirty work. You see loads of people attacking each other by Gaunt's instruction. It's interesting how what people desire, the things that they get, are not actually the things that they want. Because it starts off with 11-year-old Brian Rusk, who goes in. I feel like I'm very loud today. And it says that what he wants in the most in the world is the 1956 Sandy Koufax. I can't even speak. Sandy Koufax baseball card. Koufax even. I can't speak. So it says on the blurb that Brian, 11-year-old Brian, he wants the Sandy Koufax baseball card. And Gaunt shows him a card that looks to Brian to be the card that he wants, that has been signed by Sandy to somebody called Brian. Obviously it's not addressed to this Brian, but it's the idea of, oh, it's got my name on it. It was signed to somebody else called Brian who wanted this card. But then you realise as you go through the book that nobody else sees that card as a Sandy Koufax baseball card with the name Brian on it. They all see it as a completely different card, which makes you realise that it really is the case of he will show you your true desire, whether it's real or not. So it comes to the point when you realise the things that people are being shown are fiction. It's all in their heads, which I found kind of fascinating. It's the whole thing of just like, you see what you want to see, and then you do whatever to keep it. Because it's just like with Polly, she has issues with her hand. She has like arthritis where she gets a lot of pain, and Gaunt gives her a necklace which is supposed to take the pain away. I'll admit, the moment when she realises what's actually happening in regards to what actually is around her neck, oh my god, if you have arachnophobia, if you are scared of spiders, the images that went through my brain as I was reading her part of the story were just like, no. And throughout the book, the sheriff, Alan Panghorn, is not allowed in Needful things. While everybody else has their moments where it's just like by appointment only and stuff, whenever Alan turns up to the shop, there is a sign in the window saying closed. And he's just there going, how does this place operate if it's closed all the time? But no, it's only closed to Alan. Other people can get inside that shop and get their desires. The thing is, what Alan desires goes against what Gaunt wants to do to this town. Alan is purposefully targeted by Gaunt, but to not enter the shop. And when you find out what Alan's desire is, that's the point where Polly's kind of figured it out. And it has to do with the death of his wife and child. He wants to know what happened, basically. So when he does eventually get into the shop, this spans across like a week or something. It's a very short amount of time that Gaunt manages to take down Castle Rock. And then there's also a bit at the end which implies he's just going to do it again. He's just going to do it again. Because what was the name of the shop at the very end? Because he just moves on. He just moves on to a different town. Answered prayers. Needful things. Answered prayers. Whew. But yeah, just the fact that everything that Gaunt does has everybody turning on each other. Because of the pranks. To Brian, he says, I want you to throw mud at this person's laundry that's hanging in their garden, and when the person sees it, they think it's somebody else who they're pissed off with their dog. So it's all kind of neighbours turning on each other, and Gaunt is finding all the weak spots and getting them to kill each other, basically. I actually really enjoyed it. It took me a really long time to read it, just mainly because of how long it was and the fact that this was specifically, that's a really hard word to say, specifically my theatre book. So I was only reading it at the theatre. I can't believe it took me this long to read a Stephen King book, because I read my first Stephen King book when I was in college, and I saw Misery at Harrogate Theatre in North Yorkshire. I saw the play, then I saw the movie like the next night it was on television, so I watched it, and then I read the book after that. So I want to say I must have been about 17 when I read Misery, and then I went for a really long time not reading any, and then I read From a Buick 8 last year or the year before. It's on my YouTube channel, I know that. I reviewed it for, well, I say what I do, call reviewing loosely. because it's more just me reading books and then sharing what I think about them. Is that a review? It's just my personal opinion. I'm not really reviewing it for other people. I'm just talking about it for me as I process them. And yeah, I find it fascinating, the idea of one person managed to make a town self-implode. And it's also the fact that you never really get a motive from Gorn about why he's doing it. It's the fact that, you know, it says he's a stranger. There are implications in the book that he's not even human. And so it's just like, is this just an alien just come to Earth, just wanting everybody to self-implode? Is this kind of a sci-fi in a way? But the fact that he then also moves on to another town at the very end, which I thought was kind of fascinating. The very end of the blurb, which I didn't read out because it's more akin to the author. It's just like, with a demonic blend of malice and affection, Stephen King says farewell to the town he put on the map and delivers another spellbinding testament to his dark genius. So I don't actually know what the first book that Castle Rock is in. Yeah, so the first one was The Dead Zone, then it was Cujo, and then The Body, and the short stories Uncle Otto's Truck and Mrs. Todd's Shortcut, and Grammar, Nonna, was that Nona? The Dark Half, The Sundog, Needful Things, and then there's It Grows on You, which is after that, which is supposed to be like an epilogue to Needful Things. Yeah, I just found it kind of fascinating to read about a town self-imploding over the actions of one person who is preying on people's insecurities. Yeah, it's all very weird and disturbing, but in a great way. Is that the best way to describe Stephen King? Weird and disturbing, but in a wonderful, wonderful way. If you are a newbie to Stephen King like me, this was actually a really good book, but you need to be prepared for the fact that it is a long one. There are some people out there who probably don't do well with long books, so if a practically 800-page book seems a bit it is split into sections though, which made it quite easy to do. They could be long chapters, but there is the different sections, because you've got like part 1, the grand opening celebration, and there's lots of places that make it very easy to put down if you need to. So it's just like you've got your different sections, so if I'd stopped like on this page here, I would actually, because I usually stop at a full stop, so a brand new page, but here, if I'd stopped here, where it obviously hasn't come from a full stop, it's midway through a sentence, if I stopped on this page, I would have assumed that I was starting down here. So there's lots of different sections throughout, which make it very easy to stop and start, which was really good for somebody who was stopping and starting this a lot because it was my theatre book. Yeah, it was just fascinating, and I did really enjoy it. It is a bit of a slow burn, I'll admit that, and I'm not the biggest slow burn fan, but it wasn't too slow. It was like just enough to keep you going, because there were so many people for you to follow in this, because you are following individuals being turned on each other. But the fact is though, when Gaunt tells them like to do stuff, the bones of it were there, basically. He wasn't starting feuds because the feuds were already happening. He was just kind of just finishing them off. It was just like, yes, I acknowledge that you've had this feud with this person, and I'm going to get somebody else to play a prank to instigate it even further, which then ends with those two people who have both had pranks on them that are completely unrelated to their feud, but it makes them turn on each other even more. Does that make any sense? I have no idea. But anyway, I feel like I've been talking for ages, and I am hungry because I have been at the theatre. If you want something that's maybe a little bit slower, but still can infiltrate your dreams, this was a good one. Yeah, Stephen King. There we go. It's a proper good hardback. That's such a satisfying sound, isn't it? I think I'm just hyper because it's been the last Oliver show today, and so it was very emotional, and we all learnt the dance to finish the reprise of Consider Yourself. So it's like a Spock square, do 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 do, slap slap, consider yourself. And the last few times I've done it, Chris Bennett, who plays Bill Sykes, has been like, I've caught his eye every single time because I'm usually right in front of him when he does it. So yeah, today I saw it for the last and final time, and how many times did I see it in total? 15. 1-5. People definitely saw it more than I did, but I was only on a couple of shifts a week. My daytime shifts were usually on Crocodile, so I didn't do that many compared to some other people, but it was still a wonderful show and I'm going to miss them all. So this was like saying goodbye to Oliver and Needful things at the same time. So thank you so much for watching. I feel like I haven't said that much, but I think because of all the intricacies of all the different people feuding, it is one you do need to read for yourself. But yeah, so don't forget to subscribe. I am still reading so much. I don't think I will ever stop reading. It's just in me just to read all the time. I don't feel like it's a chore. I just love it, and so I think that's probably why my YouTube channel is going the way it is because I finish a book, I film it, and then I edit when I need to. But that's perfect timing because my battery is about to die. So yeah, thanks for watching. I will see you on Sunday. I always said Saturday. See you on Sunday for a series Sunday. Thank you so much. Mwah! Love you all. Bye!